All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Oh, thank you for sharing your LinkedIn. I had it ready to share as well. That's perfect. So hi again, everyone. Today we have Rodney Hatch from Builders FirstSource. He is a Marine Corps veteran and now is the Veteran and Skillbridge Outreach Coordinator for Builders FirstSource. So welcome again, Rodney. Glad to have you here.
Thank you very much. Always a good time speaking to the group here.
So to start, why don't you go ahead and just tell everybody kind of your story? I remember from last time, it's a good one, how you got to where you are today.
It was interesting to say the least. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name, like we said, is Rodney Hatch. I'm the veteran and skill bridge specialist for Builders FirstSource. Um, we are one of the largest building materials companies in the country. We have roughly about 600 locations spread across 44 different states. Uh, my transition from the Marine Corps was a little bit different. Skillbridge wasn't around at the time when I transitioned. Um, my transition from the military into civilian life was kind of rough and challenging at the time. I joined Builders FirstSource back in 2015 as a homeless veteran. I was had made some bad decisions, and life had caught up with me, and my decisions caught up with me. So I took a very entry level position with Builders FirstSource back in 2015. Started working as a truss assembler in one of the markets that I lived in, and quickly realized from that point on that you know my military kind of instincts kicked back in. That if we want something, we have to go get it. You have to put yourself out there, and you have to be engaging in what you want. We lead from the front. I took kind of all those things from the military, just kind of put them into my transition into Builders FirstSource, and I spent a little bit of time as an entry level building trusses. It was the job I needed at the time just to kind of pull myself out of where I was. Jumped into safety from being a safety manager of one location. I actually sent an email to our market manager who was in charge of about 5 or 6 different locations, and I tried to explain to him how great I would be at being a safety manager for all of his locations. I got an interview the next day, and I've been a Builders FirstSource now for over 10 years. And I left the safety department after about 8 years, and I joined the military outreach team last year here with corporate.
So how, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. I was about to ask. Um, I once again, I feel like I say this every time I host a speaker, so the rest of the skill bridgers are probably like, oh my God, you say this every time, Sheila. But I love the way that you went about moving up, using that networking, just taking a chance and going up to the supervisor and saying, hey, I'd be really good for this. Um, what kind of gave you I guess the confidence, if you will, to go ahead and try that?
I've always had a thought in my head of you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And so, I think, and even now in my experience with doing the skill bridge and speaking to candidates, a lot of candidates think that they don't. Well, that might not apply to me because I don't really have experience in doing that. The civilian sector is completely different, I think, in ways from the military, but it's the same aspect of how the military has trained us. We can be adaptable, trainable, teachable, the ability to work in diverse groups of people, the ability to lead diverse groups of people. Doesn't matter if you've done 4 years, if you've done 20 years. Those 5 things, just without scratching those things, just scratching the surface of not even getting to really get into a candidate. But I felt like um, I needed to do better to put back kind of put myself back in a place in my life where I needed to be, and by just um, reaching out and attacking the the unknown, I guess, just throwing yourself out there. The worst they could say was going to be no. And it's paid off. A year and a half ago, I would have never thought that I would have landed my dream job of being a part of the military outreach team and being able to give back and help people now as they transition, or even help veterans and spouses or dependents, anybody in the military realm, to try to get positions within our company.
So that's the perfect segue into the next thing I was going to ask, which is, can you tell us more about what you're doing now as the Veteran Skill Bridge outreach?
Yeah, most definitely. So, as the veteran skill bridge outreach, I'm kind of been charged with recruiting, retention. I help out with our employee ERG. We have an employee ERG called Proud to Serve. That's a group of made up of not only veterans and service members or spouses or dependents, but it's made up of team members within Builders FirstSource that just support the military. We do quarterly calls and try to engage in different activities, kind of like as we're coming into the end of the year, Reefs Across America, Toys for Tots, just different things to kind of keep people engaged and into a greater organization. Once you get out, you're going to kind of lose some of that camaraderie from being around your platoon, your company, whatever the case may be, your squadron. So just keeping that kind of camaraderie between us all. And then we do it on a larger basis across the country where our locations are. SkillBridge, if a SkillBridge candidate reaches out, we'll do a screening call with me, and I try to kind of go through some basic information of what that candidate's looking for, timeline. And then my main thing is to try to get candidates in the SkillBridge side exposure, getting their information out to the markets or the locations that they're looking for. With 600 locations and we're spread across 44 different states. I think I seen a question pop up there. Where are we not? We're not in Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Hawaii, Louisiana, and I might be missing Illinois, and I might be missing one more, but that's about where we're not at. But the main thing of SkillBridge is getting your information out there to the hiring teams, the hiring managers, the GMs, depending on your position that you're looking for. If you're looking for, a entry level position driving a forklift, get you to an operations manager or dispatcher, getting your information seen by the people that are going to be bringing these people on. And then on the veteran and spouse dependent side, I think that in my experience, applying to a position on LinkedIn or Indeed or anything on like that, you just get put in a basket with, let's say, 100, 150 other people. And I think that's where you're kind of like in a dryer and a tumble cycle where nobody really a person might not actually look at your information, your resume. So we have a military intake form that I'll have candidates reach out to me if you're one of those in that one of those classes. And then what I do is I take your information and I push you to those same hiring teams, whether it be field recruiters, human resources, general managers, market managers. I push those candidates to get your information visually seen by a human, not just in that realm of they might be using AI or something to filter through resumes. I want to make sure that you get seen by a hiring manager. So if you're a spouse dependent, I've even had people have just seen our information. They've reached out. Doesn't matter. It's just about helping people in general. But if you fit the military, veteran, spouse, dependent, we do it all. And I try to just make sure that people get seen by real humans.
Yeah, that's definitely helpful in this current market. Um, and we had a question in the chat, uh, what type of positions are opened? And I would add to that, just in general, what type of positions does Builders Source usually try to fill? Or
So
Builders First
we're
Source, sorry.
even though we're a large building materials company, there's a lot more hidden behind that. across the country, like in a field position at one of our locations. There could be anywhere from truck drivers, CDL, non-CDL, uh, forklift drivers, material handlers, sales, safety, operations, dispatch, inventory. And then on the corporate side, you go into kind of human resources, legal, IT, finance, um, just a huge selection of positions. I think I seen it popped up. I think somebody threw in our link there. Thank you for that. There's anything across the country. I mean, that's available. Office administration, anything. I mean, it's just a wide range out there, depending on where you're at. The corporate positions are most likely going to be kind of held closer to Dallas, Denver, and Raleigh. Those positions, we have a corporate office that's located in Irving, Texas, Denver, and then Raleigh. And those positions there are going to be kind of positions that they want. They're starting to kind of just being full transparent. They're starting to pull, and I think we're starting to filter more candidates that are located in those areas rather than outside. I don't live in that area currently. I've been blessed to be with the company for this long, and they've kind of hired me from the market that I was in. But I think a lot of our remote opportunities are kind of being pulled back to where they're kind of like hybrid opportunities in those areas.
Timothy, do you have a question?
I do. You kind of just answered it. I'm the one that asked like what positions are kind of open. So it was going to be within those kinds of lines, and then like what positions you might not typically think about, but you already answered that with kind of your breakdown.
And
So
Builders
my
First
question
Sources,
got answered by Sheila asking it for me.
yes, sir. And Builders First Source is steadily growing. I just seen where Builders First Source acquired another company kind of down in the Temple, Texas area where we didn't really have much of a reach. When you look south of Dallas, between like Dallas and Killeen, that area, kind of Fort Hood, we were kind of a little bit scarce through that area. So I just seen earlier this week where Builders First Source had acquired another company. We're in about 85 of the top 100 metropolitan statistical markets across the country. Um, I think that Builders First Source kind of mimics the military in the fact that my story, especially, is you zig and zag and you create the career that you want. Similar to the military, we can all kind of attest to how the military was, whether you start out in the officer section or if you're enlisted. Uh, the only difference is that in the military, we know kind of what you need to get that E2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and so on. Civilian, it's a little bit different. It's not mapped out that way to where you don't really know that, well, I need to spend 2 years as a forklift driver and then I can get promoted to a material handler or dispatch or something like that. That's where it's different. But that's where my statement from you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I grabbed onto the company and just started learning. I didn't really know the industry. I had to have realistic expectations when I came into the industry. Um, and so when I started understanding what the company did, that started opening up things that I wouldn't even understand. Safety. I didn't really have an interest in safety, but safety, inside sales, outside sales. Our sales realm, we're not really in. We don't do like door-to-door sales or anything like that. A lot of our business and our customers are our bigger home builders across the country: D.R. Horton, Adams Homes, Lennar, Ryan, and then the custom home builders that might be in your area. We are open to the public as well. So if you or I were building something and we wanted to go get some pressure treated lumber, or we needed to go take a look at some of our, we have a My Builder app that's kind of a one-stop shop for customers. Customers can come into our locations and look and see what your finishings would look like in your house. So Builders First Source has really kind of expanded on just being more than a standalone lumber company. We have a line of doors, windows, millwork, trusses, lumber, ready frame up north, in certain markets up front or up north where the your building time during the summer is a little bit shortened. So we have ready frame that is kind of pre packaged and pre-engineered that they do up in the northern where they have winter. So I mean, it's just a well-rounded company with tons of options that you can choose from.
That's really cool. I didn't know that. I chuckled at up north where they have winter because that's where I grew up.
Well, and I'm in the
Lake
south.
effect
I'm in the
snow.
southeast, so we are adapting to the markets. If you're up north in the snow, your building during the summer is smaller. So in order to continue to be one of the top leading building materials companies, a lot of the homes back in the day, and probably our grandparents, a lot of people on this call, our grandparents and people we know, we've built with stick frame. You'd go out and do board by board. Well, now we use engineered trusses from our truss plants, but then we also do ready frame. So we can build. It might take, let's say, 11 days to build it might take 11 days to build a standard 1,500 foot, let's say, ranch style house. With ready frame, you can build it with less labor, less waste. Everything comes in dimensions and kind of sized out to the job site. And so they can build it in about 5 days compared to 11 days. When you're thinking about in the large scale of I'm trying to build 20 houses this summer. Maybe I could build 30. So we're just trying to adapt to the markets that we're in and make sure that we're providing the best building material options in those areas.
That makes a lot of sense. We had another question in the chat. Travis asked, how has your own journey shaped your definition of success? It's a good question, Travis.
So I'll be very honest. Homelessness was probably the most amazing time of my life because it really humbled me. And when you're homeless, you'll take anything, and that's kind of how I was. I was willing to come in and start swinging a hammer. I think success is probably different in all of our eyes, but to me, success has been kind of what I'm doing now, being able to give back. I really felt that during my journey, maybe I wasn't being the best human being possible. I wasn't being the best veteran possible, or showcasing myself as a veteran in the best light. So now that I'm able to where I sit today, I tell people all the time, candidates that I've spoken with, I tell them I've won the job lottery because it's just about helping people and giving back. I've created a great network on LinkedIn. Never had a LinkedIn before in my life, and I've created a great network of resources. So it's not even about that I come onto these calls or I talk to people about, hey, I want you to come work for us. It's about I just spoke to a candidate earlier today that was going back towards Cincinnati, Ohio, and we have some smaller locations there, but I think he kind of understood that the chances might not be as great as going to like an Atlanta or something like that. And so he asked, would you have any other resources? So being able to share resources of, LinkedIn, the 50 Strong, the this group, resources from the state level that help out, kind of like INVETS or Kentucky Valor from different states. Just being able to share resources with people, other companies, U.S. Foods, John Deere, Cushman and Wakefield, being able to share these other companies and these other resources makes me feel like I'm doing good. I don't know if I'm quite successful yet, but I just feel like I'm giving back and I'm being a good steward of information, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's hard when I think a lot of us leave the military and we just try to find a job like in corporate or something, and we're like, where's the real purpose behind it? Just trying to make a company money doesn't quite feel the same as serving your nation. So,
Right. Well, and I
yeah.
think that's what we all, I think, as we are transitioning, we want to find something that kind of maybe either is in the same realm of what we did, or some people just want to go completely opposite. But I think like the realistic expectations of the civilian world are that if you can get in with a company that has a good background and has a good standing of, you know, there's two questions I tell every SkillBridge candidate to ask during their interview. The first one is, if I can get you an interview with the market that you're looking for, ask them during the interview, what does career growth look like? Is there a career path where I'm at? Are you going to be stuck doing that job forever, or is there a chance for you to move up and advance? Because I think that's important. And then the other one is transparency. I love Builders FirstSource. Builders FirstSource has been amazing to me, but I want to make sure that if you're doing 120-day skill bridge and 90-day skill bridge, that's a long time to be locked in, and then to find out that you were only in a $10 or $11 an hour position. So I always stress asking about pay transparency. Ask the market manager, whoever you're doing the skill bridge interview with, hey, I understand that during my time frame of skill bridge that it's an unpaid internship, but if I was to move into a full-time position with your company, can you give me an idea of what that salary would be? I think that's it's a tough question, but it's 2025, almost 2026. I mean, you don't want to move your family across the country and then find out that you have to apply on USA Jobs with 600 other people for that position that you were just interning in. I think having all that information out front and just being a good steward to people. You can look around these days and you can see the way the world is. I think just people helping people is something to be grateful for.
Yeah, absolutely. So how can people get involved as a skill bridger with Builders
I
First?
can share. Once we're done, I turned the chat off because I didn't want to be distracted while I was trying to talk.
No
It's one
worries,
of those
I'm
Marine
watching
Corps
it for you.
things. But I can drop my email in there, or my email is rodney.hatch@bldr.com. You can send me an email and I'll send our SkillBridge intake form. Like I said, it's also not about just about Builders FirstSource. It's about helping each other. So if I have a resource that I can share with you or something that maybe you haven't thought about, it's all about sharing information with each other. It shouldn't be about companies keeping this. And I know the companies that I even mentioned, I know that I've worked with them. I've talked with people from their military and veteran hiring. A lot of those companies that I mentioned, I feel really good about. I don't want to mention a company or anything, a group that might turn around and do something crazy and have my name attached to it. But it's just about sharing information with companies and people. And it doesn't matter if you're a veteran, a spouse, a dependent, whatever. Reach out. We have positions across the country. SkillBridge, it kind of works in your timeline. I'll be honest. We try to talk to candidates that are within 90 days, just because it's hard to forecast in our industry. It's hard to forecast outside of that. So I think right now I'm currently talking to people that are looking to start a SkillBridge in like January, February, March and beyond in 2026 will be kind of December. I'll start reaching out to them and setting up calls. Just because if I'm reaching out to a market and I'm showing who you are, and let's say they have a position available now, that might not be the case. If they have a position now, they're probably trying to fill that within the 90 days. Anything outside of that is going to be kind of, we might not get a good result right now. It's just from the experience that we've had. And then something else too, I just thought of that I typically talk about is if you're looking for a company online and you don't see anything posted, that's where that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take comes in. Just because there might not be something, even on our website, a lot of positions are filled by referral. So if there's a manager, let's say in Birmingham, Alabama, that needs an operations manager, he might know that position needs to be filled in early 2026, but there's nothing posted yet because he hasn't had anything. If all of us had a company and we needed to hire somebody, a lot of positions are held or hired by referral. So you need to check into that company, find somebody on LinkedIn that works with that company, even reach out to them and say, hey, I've seen that you work at this company. I'm interested in something like this. Could you tell me, how to get connected with that person? I've seen somebody just threw in their networking. That you have to do the work. Stuff isn't going to walk to you. If I would have sat back in my hands and just said, well, I'm going to build trusses and be happy with that, that's fine. But if you want to get out there, you're going to have to get out there and network. You're going to have to put yourself out there. People are going to say no, but as long as you're networking, you're putting your name out there, you're putting your information, your resume, I think that things will come. I can't explain my path. I don't know how it's happened like this. very grateful to God for the path that He's given me, and the platform now. But we just have to be out there and be good stewards to each other.
For the potential like skill bridge opportunities, is there availability? Sorry, words are hard today. I apologize. Is there opportunity for people who don't necessarily have a background in like the more blue collar jobs to learn that on the job if they were to skill bridge with you guys?
Yes, a lot of our skill bridges are done in-house. They're on the job training. I would say 97, 98% are done at our locations. We typically try to do, and this is just me speaking from kind of our industry, but I try not to do anything less than 60 days, try to do at least 90 to 180. Ours works around the service members timeline. Words are hard today. Try to work around the service members timeline. We like to start on a Monday. We like to end on a Friday. So that way, potentially you could move into full time then right after the end of the skill bridge.
Mm.
Industry experience is good if you are looking for like general manager and above. That's where kind of like those positions there, they like to have that industry experience of knowing how the company works. But operations, inventory, dispatch, anything like that coming in, your background from the military is gonna say a lot for you. And that's where I kind of try to tie in when I'm emailing the market managers and I'm emailing these people that, hey, this person's done this. They've done logistics and supply chain. They could do dispatch, and I try to tie those pieces together and highlight that. And then once you get in and you start learning the company, that's when that's when you can start zig and zagging that I mentioned and kind of creating that path that you want. We do
Yeah.
one more thing. We do so from 90 to 180 days, we can develop training plans that are kind of around you and your timeline. Our skill bridges are done, like I mentioned, at our locations. You would work at our location from Monday through Friday, no more than 40 hours a week. We do have about an 80 to 85% success rate from skill bridge to full-time hire. And then that's skill bridge to the candidate moved on to full-time hire. I would say we're probably higher percentage on offers. But I'll be very honest and very transparent that if we're looking for a skill bridge, we have to make sure that we're using the skill bridge wisely. We're not using the skill bridge in a way that shouldn't be used, because that's going to affect the people behind us. And I say that because I've had a case where a skill bridge candidate started the skill bridge, accepted the position, got into it about a month, and decided that he didn't want to do the skill bridge any longer. We're responsible for the people behind us as well, and people helping people. So skill bridge, if it's going to keep blooming and keep going, we need to make sure that we're using these skill bridges. And that's why it's important when you're interviewing that you ask those pointed questions that you need to know beforehand. Don't just take a skill bridge that's going to get you back closer to your hometown or something. Make sure that you're asking those questions: pay transparency, career growth. What does success look like in their mind for you? Ask those questions. Be upfront and ask those, and then sit down at the end of your search and look through and say, hey, A, B, C, and D. Then you can make that educated decision on what's best for you and your family.
That makes a lot of sense. Good advice. Does anybody else have questions? Feel free to put up a hand. This is interactive. John, go ahead.
Hey, Rodney, it's John. How you doing, man?
Good, sir. How are you?
Doing all right. So I know you kind of touched about jobs that are currently on your website right now may not be suited for skill bridge opportunities. I'd love to connect with you offline. I saw there's a couple of positions that I'm interested in that in the Charlotte area, which is where I'm at.
Okay.
So I
And
feel like it does kind of line up pretty well. How was the best way to like kind of like start that process? Is just through your email, through your LinkedIn, going through the website's military veteran connect side?
go ahead and send me an email.
Okay.
And the greatest part about this is, so like Charlotte, I have a Marine Corps veteran that's the market manager there. And so he does a lot of the interviewing for the skill bridge. That's a great market, a big market down over that way. Um, reach out to me. I'll get you the intake form, and then from there we can get a call set up, or I can ask any questions or answer any questions you might have, and then we'll just go from there. But yeah, I would say
Okay.
email me first. You can apply directly online if that's easier for you. There's numerous postings for across the country. We'll try to get a skill bridge in any type of position we have. Whether so, if you're seeing something in that area or market, anything at all, send me an email. And what I do then is I reach out to them, the hiring manager, the hiring team, or the locations around the area you're looking for. And I just highlight you as a candidate. Hey, I have a candidate, so and so, that's looking for a skill bridge doing this. This is what their background's in. They're available from uh, January to the end of June. And we kind of go from there. It's a very
Yeah.
straightforward. I understand that time is money, and that typically when you're searching for a skill bridge, you're talking to other companies. So I want to make sure that I get you to it. I typically give about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and then you'll definitively hear from us one way or the other. Just because I know that time is money, and I know that I want to make sure that I follow up with everyone, and that I do my due diligence and make sure that I'm getting your name where it needs to be.
Excellent. Hey, thanks so much. It might not be a good time for like skill bridge for me because like I'm on skill bridge right now with
Mhm.
Seven Eagle, and I'm only on skill bridge until like the end of the year, and then I start terminal after that. But if there's something that we could possibly work, I'll definitely shoot you an email and see what we can do.
Well, no, and that's another good point. Thank you for bringing that up. But direct hire, so SkillBridge, direct hire, anything like that at all. That's what I want to do is connect with me. Let me, see if there's, let me send your name to the market and see if there's something. Like I said, if you don't see something, that's not always terrible, because we like to use the veteran and SkillBridge program for succession planning. So let's say that in the middle of 2026, Jim or Mary is going to retire. Well, let's get you in there and see if we can't start getting you trained up on that position, and then you roll into that position. So I mean, that goes along with, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Put yourself out there, connect with people, and even if I mentioned a company and you want to see if I can get you information to that company, I'm more than happy to help you. It doesn't have to just be with our company. That might be a terrible line, and maybe that's not the way to do it, but it's all about helping each other. So
Hey, cool. Thanks so much.
And that also brings up a point to everybody. Almost everybody on here is a skill bridger with Seven Eagle, if you didn't know that. Um, but this is something that would be considered an OJT opportunity. So even if you're doing skill bridge with Seven Eagle, you can do the layered OJT skill bridge with someone like Builders First. I'm
yeah,
assuming
no.
you probably already knew that, Rodney, but just for anybody that's newer that didn't know. What else y'all got? Any other? It's a good question so far.
Something to think about too. So if you're from Builders FirstSource is our bigger parent company. If you're looking towards Alaska, we hold the name up there of Spinard Building Supply. If you're out west in California, Dixie Line Home and Lumber Stores, I believe is the name, but Dixie Line's the big name. Those are Builders FirstSource locations. National Lumber out east, T.W. Perry. Those are all Builders FirstSource. I guess like sister or smaller companies underneath that Builders FirstSource owns. Um, so if you are looking for something, I understand that the name Builders FirstSource might come off that we just build houses or something. we don't really have anything to do with building. We just provide the building materials. The Builders FirstSource bought Paradigm a few years ago, an IT company, kind of make it a one-stop shop for a customer. So there's a lot more in depth than just being a building materials company out there.
That's good to know. Thanks for explaining that. I assumed Alaska was going to be one of those 6 states that maybe you're not in, just because Hawaii and Alaska are always excluded for
Yeah,
Hawaii and
no,
Alaska.
Hawaii definitely they won't let me go visit any locations there, but Alaska, Fairbanks, Anchorage, numerous locations up there, and their hiring is very active right now. They're always looking for people.
Awesome. Monique, got a question?
Hi, good afternoon, Rodney. Thank you for the information. I just wanted to ask, when we shoot you an email for a position that we might be interested in, should we also attach, Seven Eagle Group has like our transition sponsor program coordinator? Will that help if we submit that along with our resumes?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah, just if you want to put in the subject, put Seven Eagle Group and put maybe the rec number or or the position title that you're interested in. But no, we can work through all that.
Okay.
I love the fact that the 70 group does this and provides a service to try to help, service members and help us transition. So no, I'm more than happy to help anyway.
So Rodney, did you have any formal HR training before you got into this position? Just out of curiosity, because I hear you using a lot of the HR words. I was curious if that just came with doing it, or if you actually went and did that before you got into it.
None whatsoever. Like I said, I went from building trusses. I jumped into safety, and I was a safety manager of our truss plant. And then from there, that's when I sent the email to my market manager. All of our emails in the company are pretty much your first name dot last name. And so I just typed up a letter and told him how great I could be and how much better I could be at, helping the company in that aspect. And I said, I'm already doing safety here. I could probably save you some money. And then I got an interview with him. And then I took over Huntsville, Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama locations, and then Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And I held that role for probably about the past 7.5, 8 years. And then when I jumped into the military outreach team, one of the first things I said is, how does it feel to be part of HR? And my first thought was, I hope nobody goes back and interviews anybody I've ever worked with. But no, it's just, you transition and you catch on to kind of the things that, in the military, we're adaptable, we're trainable, we're teachable. Those things right there, jumping into HR was kind of the same thing. I've taken some SHRM certification classes over the past 1.5 years. That's helped me kind of build myself. But no, I'm strictly no HR whatsoever.
Nice. That was just my own curiosity. Anybody else? We got time for maybe one or two more if they're short questions. Roy, what you got?
How's it going, Ronnie? First, thanks for taking the time to come speak to us. Just a real quick question is, if you were in our shoes today, what is something you wish somebody had told you during this transition process that you know now?
Realistic expectations. A lot of times, I wish somebody would have kind of let me know that it's okay to, I understand that sometimes when I ask people, they'll say that, my salary expectation is 120. and I've got this and this background from the military. And I think that I wish somebody would have said that it's okay to have that, but know that joining and coming into the civilian world, a lot of times, if you're just depending on the industry you're getting into, a lot of times that you're going to have to get in an entry level position, then prove yourself. Um, that's kind of what I've done, and it's worked out great. But realistic expectations, like if you're holding out for that 150K rather than something else, maybe think about taking that position and doing exactly what I did. Get your foot in there and put your work behind your mouth. Let some time go by and show that you've adapted to the market, to the industry, and then kind of see what happens from there. Hey, I've been doing this. I understand this. Start showing your worth after you put some action into it. Don't be afraid to do that, I guess, would be the main thing. I think a lot of times we just want to jump in and we want to start controlling that horse, but don't be afraid to, just be riding on for a little bit and let the other person, so that way you can gain some knowledge. It's humbling, to know that you're leaving the military. You might have led troops, soldiers, whatever. But when you come into the civilian world, a lot of the industries are different. You don't have that experience, but don't let that get you down. The military has already shown you what you're going to need to build yourself. You already know how that's going to be your walk. So take that position and show them, what they're working with. Kind of put, I don't know, I can't think of the saying, but put your work out there first and then your words. That was a good question.
Yeah, great question. Anyone else want to squeeze a question in? Travis, go ahead.
Hey, Rodney, thanks for coming out talking with us today. You talked a lot about giving back to the veteran community and everything. So what would you say is the most rewarding part about helping someone find their path to their new career?
Most rewarding part is when a SkillBridge candidate will move on from SkillBridge into full-time. That's the most rewarding part. Just being able to help somebody. My manager that hired me in works for a different company now, and she's running their veteran program. And so what's rewarding is being able to share, even if a candidate calls me and we don't have something, rewarding for me is being able to share their information with her. Hey, we don't have anything. Would you have something available for her? Just, I think this whole experience every day is something new. I get to speak with people every day. I've spoken with 4 or 5 already this morning. And just being able to be that source of being transparent with somebody and being real with them, just being honest about information, not trying to sugarcoat anything or anything like that with them, not trying to be disrespectful, but, I just want to make sure that people understand that I just want to give them the exact information that they need. I don't want to lead them on a chase, so I think rewarding has been just being able to give back. When I was homeless, I felt like I mentioned, I felt like I was such a terrible human, and I'd let myself down so much that just coming on here and being able to share my story with you all, I don't know any of you, kind of makes me vulnerable. But if somebody else out there is struggling or has had struggles and it turns them around a little bit, then that's great. My email's always open, so I know we're running close on time. So if there's anything I can do down the road for anyone, like I mentioned, I can't say it enough. It doesn't have to be just for my company. If you're struggling with something, I'll be more than happy to hear, listen to you and be an ear for you.
Thank you so much for that. And your story is really an inspiring one. So we're glad you shared it. Thank you for sharing that. A couple of people. Sorry, go ahead.
We have to make sure we watch out for everyone, and that includes all of us. You know what I mean? So if you talk to a company and they have other openings, share that with other veterans or just people. I think that a lot of times we get caught up in the veteran spouses stuff. We just need to be people helping people.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple people have said in the chat that they emailed you already. So
Perfect.
that's awesome.
And last thing I'd say would be thank you very much to Jordy, Sheila, the 7 Eagle Group for having me on. I appreciate it. If there's anything ever I can do, let me know.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much for being here.
You all have a good day. Stay safe.
You too. Thanks.